First of all, it's great to be here. So thank you guys all for being here and covering Nebraska football. I want to make sure I begin by thanking Tony Petitti and the entire Big Ten Conference. In my short amount of time, it's been first class, and all the other coaches have been amazing. I want to thank Trev Alberts, who's here with us. I appreciate him giving me this job and giving me this great opportunity. And I want to make sure I thank everyone back home, everyone in Nebraska. It's been an amazing 6 months, and excited to get to the season. I brought 3 players here with me today: Luke Reimer, Jeff Sims, and Ethan Piper. All 3 of those guys, they're not just here for their own accomplishments, and they're all very accomplished. They're also here because they represent our team. And I know it's just the beginning. We're just getting started. But I like this team. I like our players, and I hope you see really good football this fall. So with that, I'll see what you got.
All right, we'll open it up to questions. We'll start right here, to our right. Yep.
Coach Bill Bender, Sporting News. Week 2, you guys obviously play Colorado. They were in the news yesterday. Huge old school rivalry. I mean, what do you know about that game, and what have you heard about that game since you've come to Nebraska?
Well, if you know me, you know that I love college football. I'm a college football junkie. And so I remember the great days, Coach Osborne versus, Coach McCartney, Rashawn Salam, all the great players that played there. I think it's good for college football. I think it's great when we have regional rivalries where fans can drive to them. I think it's good for the game. And so as I was looking at this job, my wife and son and I, we sat down and went on YouTube, watched some of the old games, wanted to make sure they understood what being at Nebraska means and what a game against Colorado means. And so I'm excited for it. Obviously, they're doing a great job at Colorado, and we'll try to do our part to make sure that it's a great thing for college football.
All right, we're going to stay to our right.
Dustin Schutte, Indiana Sports Beat. Matt, now that you're at Nebraska, I got to ask this question. Are you a chili and cinnamon rolls guy?
Yeah, I had never heard of it before, and I was a little scared when I first heard it. But I married a woman who went to culinary school, and as you can tell, I like great food. I love great things, and so I actually went to a recruit's house, and Mom made it for me, and it's a little bit life changing. It's pretty good. So yes, I am.
Okay, we're going to go to our left here in the center.
Hey, Coach, Steve Marek with Inside Nebraska, part of Rivals. You touched on this a little bit before, but what to you is a successful first season for Nebraska?
Yeah, I've really thought about this, right? I mean, we want to compete in every game we play, right? I mean, we play to win the game, as Coach Morris said. So, I mean, we're going to go out and try to win every game. I think there's something bigger, though, for us at Nebraska. There was a time when Nebraska football was feared, and we certainly want to get back to that. We want to be a team that you say, you know what, that team's feared, but we're not at that point yet. We're at a point right now where I believe that we have to take back the respect of what it means to play Nebraska and to be Nebraska. I mean, I want people to respect when they see that white helmet with that red N on it. And so I want our fans to respect us when they pay their money to come watch us play. I want our opponents to respect us. I want all of college football to respect the way that Nebraska plays the game. And most importantly, I want our players to respect what it means to be a Cornhusker and what it means to be at Nebraska. So this season for me is all about us not just earning, but taking back respect and bringing back respect to Nebraska football. And so once you earn respect, then you can talk about being feared, and that's the process we're going to go through.
We're going to stay to our left, Coach.
Oliver Vandervoort with Husker Corner. I'm just wondering if there's anything specifically you're doing different to prepare for your first season of the Big Ten than you did for your first season of the Big 12 or with Temple, or stuff like that?
Yeah, I think I've been very blessed that Coach Osborne has been willing to share some things with me. We have a little bit larger roster than I've had at other places I've been. And so really practicing in the ways that Coach Devaney, Coach Osborne, Coach Solich did for 42 years of really dominance, having multiple stations, multiple drills going on, a lot like we practiced at Penn State. But I hadn't done that for many years, and getting back to it this spring has been really good for us. And so I think that's maybe not about the Big Ten. It's just more about being at Nebraska. I'd be a fool if I didn't ask Coach Osborne what the blueprint is. And he's been, he doesn't talk about plays. He talks about the way they practice first and foremost. And then, I've evolved, being in the NFL, being at different places. This is my 4th head coaching job. I tried to be really intentional taking this job about how am I going to do it. So and I say I mean, I've got great coaches, and they bring a lot to the table, a lot of ideas, and we're going to try to put it together as best we can.
We're going to go over here to our right, Coach, in the front.
All right. Coach Lynn Harrington, State Line Power 5. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. So there's no denying that you have hit the ground running when it comes to recruiting. I mean, it's something that hasn't been seen at Nebraska since Bill Callahan was the coach. And, I mean, you completely locked down the state of Nebraska. I just want to know, was that ideal?
Yeah, so, I mean, I think the great thing with, for me was, I don't know if it was great. I mean, I was out of work when I took this job, right? So I had some time. And so in between, like, driving my kids to school and pickups and all that, I spent a lot of time looking at recruits. And Evan Cooper, who's on my staff, who's really been my recruiting guy, right-hand guy all along, we watched not just the kids that were committed to Nebraska. We watched the 2023 class that was still out there. We watched the 2024s, the 2025s. And what I saw was, you know what? There's a lot of talent in Nebraska. And even this year, we had 3,000 kids come through our camps. Like, we wanted to reinvigorate the camps. Everyone from third grade all the way up through seniors in high school. And guys came to our camps, from small towns all across the state that maybe weren't on our radar, but they certainly are now. And so that was all intentional. And that was part of the reason why we took the job. Because if you're strong at home, if there's talent coming from Nebraska, then you're going to win. And we have a certain ratio that we want to have. We want to make sure we always have hometown kids there, guys who grew up, and being a Cornhusker means something a little bit more to them. That's really, really important to me. And so to keep that talent home was good. And I think that's good when you bring a kid in from Florida, you bring a kid in from Texas, to be surrounded by guys that are local, that can take them home, that can, show them a little love, parents that will, adopt them and, be there for them. That's how you have a program like Nebraska take off.
We're going to go to our left and back. Yep, go ahead.
Thank you, Coach. I'm going to lean on you. When you're a Cornhusker, it means a little bit more. A couple of years ago, Nebraska lost at Wisconsin. Guys were praying on the 50-yard line after the game. Less than 24 hours, the Waukesha parade tragedy occurred where many lives were lost. We give a lot of credit at Wisconsin just seeing your guys there on the field praying less than 24 hours before that happened. As a coach, how are you going to continue to build that culture and that climate that I think your team is really known for throughout the Big Ten?
Well, I think our program, our entire program, is built on really one purpose. We have a mission that we want to be the best team in college football and the best program in college football and the way that we do everything. But really our purpose, and my purpose for taking this job and being in college football, is so that young people, when they're 25, 30, 35, 40, that they say, you know what, my life is better because I went to Nebraska, and people might scoff at that, but that's why we do what we do. And so we try to attack each and every day, every single player, in terms of who they are as football players, but who they are as students, and also who they are as people. And young people right now in our society, I mean, there's never been a time where there's been more peril towards our younger generations, right? Coming out of COVID, they're way less resilient. There's way less connections. And so whereas when I grew up, my connections were the Boy Scouts and the high school and the local church and all these things, like kids nowadays are suffering from stress and anxiety and depression. And a lot of it people believe is because they don't have those connections. A lot of kids are just connected to their phones. And so our program, if you watch it, like, we're out in the community all the time. And Gus Felder, our player development guy, does a tremendous job. And we're impacting the community because I want us to have connections to each other, connections to the community. We're a lot of education's online now, but even then we're still doing it in our academic environment, because kids, they can't leave college and not know how to be in a meeting. They can't learn not how to have discourse. They can't not know how to disagree with people and learn how to listen to other people that disagree. Wouldn't the world be a better place if we all knew how to disagree with each other respectfully? So, and then the spiritual component, whatever their worldview is. We have players that are Christian, we have players that are Muslim, we have players that don't maybe believe in anything. Whatever their worldview is, we're there to walk them through that. We're there to be there for them, because who they are as people is way more important than who they are as players. And that might not be popular, and we all want to talk about transfer portals and NIL and all that stuff. That's cool. This group of kids is going to wake up in 10 years, and all that'll be gone, and who they are as people will matter. So that's kind of our purpose, and I appreciate the question.
Just a reminder to please identify yourself and your outlet before you ask your question. We're going to stay to our left.
Mitch Sherman, The Athletic. Matt, can you speak to the timing of your hire and how it allowed you to impact the program in some immediate ways, particularly as it relates to the building, the facility that you're set to open soon, and what kind of an impact that can have on your players?
Well, the Go Big project, the facility that was being built, that was started, obviously by the previous regime, is, I think, a game changer. You might have heard me say this before, but when my wife walked through it for the first time, she's been in a lot of football facilities. She walked into my office and she's like, "You better win some dang games because you got no excuses." I mean, it's beautiful, and it was all set. There's not really many changes I can make, nor that needed to be made. I think the one thing is really a focus, not on recruiting, but on player development, right? I didn't want the first thing that you walked in and saw to be like our shoes. I wanted it to be like our mission, our purpose, and so recovery, regeneration, all the things that I've had a chance to be around some of the best athletes in football, and you see the way that they take care of their bodies. Really, Trev's allowed us to, from nutrition to strength and conditioning, sports science, recovery, put the best things in the world in that building so that we can be on the cutting edge and our players can recover and be as healthy as possible. So I'm glad I got there at that time to help do that.
Staying to our left.
Hey, Coach. Erin Sorensen with Hale Varsity. With your experience, I'm over here. With your experience playing in the Big Ten, but now coming back to coach in the Big Ten, can you define Big Ten football? What it was and now what you hope it can be?
Well, I think that when I was coming back to college football, Julie and I were very intentional that we wanted two things really. We wanted to go somewhere where we wanted to raise our kids, and I can't think of a better place than Lincoln to raise our kids. And then we wanted to be in the Big Ten. I think we have a responsibility as coaches is to prepare our guys, not obviously for life, but also for pro football. And when you watch the way teams play in the Big Ten, the way they play defense,